Okay, let me ask you something. What part of you is actually going to last forever? We all hope it's our love or our joy, right? But what if the things that really stick around are, well, a bit darker, a little sharper? Today, we're going to dive into this really uncomfortable idea that maybe, just maybe, resentment and pride outlive everything else. Let's get right into it.
So let's start with a big question. What is the most powerful human emotion? Is it love, joy, maybe it's fear? Well, we're going to look at three brilliant writers from across the centuries who have some pretty surprising and honestly even disturbing answers that might just change how you think about all of this. We tend to celebrate feelings like love and enthusiasm and joy, but let's be real, they can be as fleeting as bubbles. But on the other side, you've got these forces that feel like they're carved in stone: resentment, pride, and memory. And today, we're unpacking three powerful arguments for why these things, not necessarily love, are what truly last.
All right, first up, we have a really uncomfortable idea from the 19th century writer William Hazlitt. He argued that hate isn't some bug in our system. Nope, he saw it as a core feature of what makes us human.
And here is Hazlitt's most shocking claim. He really believed that without something to hate, we would just stagnate. He saw it not as some passive feeling, but as an active, energizing force. It's like a fuel that gives our lives a strange sense of purpose and momentum when everything else just fades away. So, according to Hazlitt, why does hate have this incredible staying power? Well, for one, it's basically a source of energy. It fuels things, from big stuff like nationalism and political divides, all the way down to our own thoughts and actions. And maybe the most crucial part, it gives us a sense of identity. It tells us who we are by showing us who we're not. And that creates this weird, kind of twisted emotional baseline that just lasts longer than almost any other feeling. For Hazlitt, civilization doesn't actually get rid of our hostility. It just puts a mask on it. That polite smile you see, it could easily be hiding deep resentment. That little bit of office gossip, that's just a stand-in for outright cruelty. The impulse, he says, never really disappears. It just goes underground. So if that hate goes underground, where does it pop back up? Well, our next writer, Charles Lamb, argued it shows up in our social world, not as some big open conflict, but as the subtle, quiet cruelty of pride and belonging. Lamb's essay is this brilliant, satirical piece written from the perspective of a bachelor who feels constantly shut out by his married friends. He points out how couples can kind of weaponize their status, using it not just for their own private happiness, but as a public show of superiority that's designed to make outsiders feel small. And this perfectly illustrates what Lamb calls the double-headed arrow. The bachelor is stuck in this social trap. See, if he ignores his friends' kids, he's seen as cold and uncaring. But if he decides to play with them and, something goes wrong, bam, he's immediately the one to blame. It's a total no-win situation, and it's all designed to remind him that he's on the outside looking in. Lamb gives us perfect, almost petty example: a hostess who deliberately serves her husband first, making the bachelor guest wait for his oysters. It's such a tiny gesture, right? But it's a crystal clear power move. It's a social ritual turned into a weapon to say, you are less important here. Okay, so after wading through some of the darker, more divisive human impulses like hate and pride, we're going to turn to a really powerful and, frankly, profoundly hopeful counterpoint from the writer Amitav Ghosh. So the title of Ghosh's essay is The Ghat of the Only World. A ghat is a place of passage, a kind of symbolic space between life and whatever comes next. This immediately frames death not as a final dead end, but as a transition. At the very heart of this essay is this simple, incredibly powerful request. The poet Agha Shahid Ali, knowing he's dying from cancer, makes his friend promise to keep his memory alive through writing. This single act just transforms writing from a simple craft into a deep moral duty, a fight against being forgotten. And this really gets to the core of Ghosh's argument. The physical body, it's finite, it fades, it decays. But the artistic legacy, the poetry, the stories, the memories, that can actually endure. Through art, we create a kind of symbolic immortality, making sure a person's voice continues to be heard long, long after they're gone. So let's bring these three powerful ideas together for one final conversation. We've got hate, we've got pride, and we've got memory. Three very, very different answers to our original question. So how do they stack up against each other?
So here it is, all laid out. You've got Hazlitt, who says the thing that lasts is hatred, and you see it in conflict and prejudice. Then there's Lamb, who points to social pride, all those little subtle cruelties. But then you have Ghosh, who offers a totally different answer: memory and art. It's the connections we make, the stories we tell. That's how we truly live on. It's this incredible conversation, isn't it? Between our absolute worst impulses and our most beautiful, hopeful creations.
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. If these are the forces that actually endure, which one are you going to let define your own legacy? Will it be the divisions you help maintain, the social hierarchies you enforce, or the memories you choose to preserve for others?